afternoon and welcome to Fort Lee for today's matchup between the visiting Pascack Broncos and your Fort Lee Bridgemen. Now for today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Broncos. Number 2, Cole Pishani. Number 3, Justin O'Hannigan. Number 15, David Wiemoller. Number 23, Tyler Sanders. And number 25, John Stewart. Head coach, Paul D'Erico. And now the starting lineup for your Fort Lee Bridgemen. Number 4, Daniel Park. Number 10, Devin Jang. Number 12, Kamani Clark. Number 25, Isaiah Stagg. Number 31, Ben Okadeki. Head coach, Adam Schrager. At this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Thank you. Let's play ball.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School for our third game of this 5-game event as part of the Bergen County Showcase. As today, it's the Pascack Hills Broncos, 5-6 on the season, taking on the Fort Lee Bridgemen, 10-4 on the year. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long. So glad that you could join myself, Renee Matisich, and Dimitri Nanis on our broadcast coverage of this great basketball showcase event. Westwood defeated Emerson in our first game of the day. In game number 2, Ridgewood defeated Demarest. And now the host team, Fort Lee, taking the floor to take on Pascack Hills. These two sides met last January 20th. In Montvale, Pascack Hills were victorious 56-39. Richmond looking for a big win here today that could help them out in playoff seeding-wise. They've already assured themselves entry into the Bergen Jamboree as Bem Ogadegbe was denied a chance inside on the left side of the rim. Pascack Hills 5-6 will most likely not be participating in the Bergen Jamboree, but they would love a big win nonetheless here to get to 500 on the season. Both teams missing in their first 2 shot opportunities. Here's Isaiah Stang, number 25, the leading scorer for the Bridgemen, averaging just under 18 points per game this year. Stang leaving it off for Bem Ogadegbe. Now over to Devin Jang, the three-point shooter. And he shows why. His first three-pointer of the game on his first shot opportunity. As Jang connects on his team-leading 35th three of the year. 3-0 lead for Fort Lee. Worked around the perimeter, now inside the 2-3 zone. Fort Lee comes into this game off a loss their last time out. Lost 74-59 on the road against Dwight Morrow. That snapped a 5-game win streak that the Bridgemen had been enjoying on the year. Worked around, trying to tie the score up with a three of their own, no good. On the shot by Cole Piscotti. Varsity missing on the three. Good rebound underneath for Fort Lee. Either team with incredible size at their advantage here today. See a lot more guard-oriented play. Dropping off, Devin Jang. Getting it to Isaiah Stang, high arcing three, no good. Mistiming of the jump, though, was Pascack Hills. They benefit, though, by Onikian tapping it off to his teammate inside. Coming up on 2 minutes gone by. Here in the first quarter of play, Pascack Hills gets on the board now as Stewart knocks it in. Like Charles Stewart getting that one to fall. Now Ogadegbe off the cut will get that one for his first 2 points of the game. So Charles Stewart getting the start after his brother John Stewart was initially listed as a starter for Coach Paul Derrico. Adam Schrager in his 5th season at the helm of Fort Lee, looking for his 51st win all time. Here is the head man of the Bridgemen. Cross-court pass over to the near side, just kept in bounds by Onikian. Varsity inside, good ball movement. Good defense there by Fort Lee. Chasing out into the corner, high arcing three, knocked down by David Weidmuller. That'll tie the score up at 5-5. Good patient offense there, executed by the Broncos. As Weidmuller knocking down the triple. Here's Ogadegbe slashing across the lane, hangs in the air and gets it to fall. Ben with back-to-back buckets. He's got 4 points in the game. 7-5 lead now for Fort Lee. Into the corner. Cross-court pass. Here's another three for Pascack Hills. That hits off the top of the backboard and out of bounds. Possession will go back over to Fort Lee. Pascack Hills comes into today off a 55-35 win against Westwood on Tuesday at home. They've gone 3-3 since the start of the new year here in 2023. Isaiah Stang getting it over to Ogadegbe. Isaiah Stang for a deep three, riddled in and out. That would have been good from maybe even NBA range. He was well behind the arc there and nearly measured it up and knocked it down. Reached the midway point of the first quarter. 7-5 lead for Fort Lee. Whirling around inside, trying to tip it down low. A lot of contact, active hands, and a forced steal. Ogadegbe with the pilfer. There's Ogadegbe into the corner for Stang for three. No good. Rebound caroms out in space to Onikian. Onikian pushing the pace down the floor. Inside to Stewart, and Charles Stewart now having 4 quick points. 7-7 the score. Stang getting the double team into the corner to Devin Jang. Jang underneath to Kamani Clark. Clark up top to Ogadegbe. Ogadegbe with the left hand. Eventually works it around. Good ball movement. Here's Park on the baseline. Line pass, sending it back up top to Isaiah Stang, the team's leading scorer. Still scoreless here. Here's Devin Jang for three. No good. He's now 1 for 3 from downtown. Now Pascack Hills looking to take the lead here on this possession. Dump off down low, inside, and the finish by Tyler Sanders. And Pascack Hills has taken the lead at 9-7. 2:45 and counting left to go here in the first quarter. Pascack Hills has won the last 3 meetings with Fort Lee. Last Fort Lee win came back in February of 2019. Here's a steal going down the other way, curling inside, leaving the layup short though with Sanders. Here now in the open floor is Fort Lee. Devin Jang dribbling up a storm. Getting it into the corner to Ogadegbe. Ogadegbe cross-court pass to Stang. Stang on the baseline, floats it up, overshoots the hoop. Kamani Clark cleans up on the offensive glass inside, and Clark will be fouled and will have a chance to pull Fort Lee potentially even as he heads to the foul line. Clark is the team's leading rebounder, averaging just around 6 boards per game for Fort Lee. Had 6 points in the losing effort against Dwight Morrow the last time out. Again, that snapped what was a 5-game win streak for the Bridgemen. Trying to bounce back here against Pascack Hills as part of this Bergen County showcase. Clark missing on the first foul shot. The junior forward had a season-high 12 points at a win against Cliffside Park. But he misses on a pair of foul shots. Still it remains a 2-point lead for Pascack Hills here on the road. 9-7 lead against Fort Lee. Driving hard to the rim and laying it in, David Weidmuller. Weidmuller now with 5 points. Knocked down a corner 3 and did a good job there of taking it one-on-one to the rim. 4-point lead now for Pascack Hills. Ogadegbe driving around the defense and gets it to fall. What a take to the rim by Bem Ogadegbe. He's got 6 points to lead the way for the Bridgemen. 11-9 lead. 90 seconds and counting left to go here in the first. Stewart bouncing it. Weidmuller on the far side across the lane, hanging in the air with the left hand. Fouled his own miss and cashes in. He's got a game-high 7 now. 13-9 coming up on the final minute of the first quarter. Stang is still scoreless for Fort Lee, and they get it to him here. Defense collapses, did not decide to uncork the shot, instead threw the pass away. Weidmuller around the defense, what a nice move. Contorted the body, up and under move, he's got 9. He's got the same amount of points as Fort Lee in this first quarter. 9 for David Weidmuller, the junior. 15-9, the deficit now facing Fort Lee. Around the perimeter to Park, now Ogadegbe. He's been most of the scoring here today for Coach Schrager's boys. 30 seconds left to go. Cross-court pass again. Here's Devin Jang for 3. No good. So Jang started off 1 for 1 from 3. He's now 1 for 4. Weidmuller will pull it out. And it looks like final possession of the quarter coming for Pascack Hills. 15-9 advantage here. Fort Lee struggling to produce the offense. 5 seconds left to go in the quarter. Kick out around the perimeter. Here's a long-range 3 for Weidmuller. Could not get it to fall, but that'll end the first quarter of play with Pascack Hills on top of Fort Lee by a score of 15-9. And David Weidmuller with 9 of his team's 15 in that quarter to take the advantage after the first 8 minutes of play. Stick around us. We'll be back for the start of the second as you're watching coverage of the 2023 Bergen County Showcase here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Fort Lee led early, but Pascack Hills took control, mainly because of number 15, David Weidmuller. 9 points, game-high 9 points in that first quarter. And Fort Lee struggling offensively, only putting up 9 points in that first frame. They trail 15-9 to start off the second quarter of action, and Pascack Hills will turn it right back over and give possession back over to the Bridgemen. Isaiah Stang has not gotten going just yet here for Fort Lee. Bem Ogadegbe with 6 of Fort Lee's 9 points. Devin Jang had the other 3. Ogadegbe across the lane, little contact, no call. We play on. Might have ruled that, got it cleanly blocked from behind. Here's Isaiah Stang from straight away. No good, and Fort Lee struggling from distance. Weidmuller got contacted, the and one, and he's got 11 here in the first half of play. Got contacted in the head by Isaiah Stang as Weidmuller was going up for the layup. That is only the first foul of the game for Fort Lee, but Weidmuller is off and running. 6'2" junior, 11 points in the game. And he gets all the rim to get it to fall. He's got 12. He is outscoring Fort Lee by himself. 18-9, Pascack Hills has grown their lead now to 9. Again, trying to make it 2 straight wins and get back to 500 on the season with a win here on the road against Fort Lee, a team that is 6-2 at home here at East Gymnasium this season. Here's Devin Jang from deep 3, and he gets a much-needed basket to fall. Second made 3 of the half for Devin. He's got 6. He and Ogadegbe with 6 points apiece. Lead is down to 6, 18-12. Weidmuller over on the baseline. Stewart outletting it up top. Skip passes, trying to solve this 2-3 zone. Onikian, Weidmuller playing a game of catch. 6.5 minutes left to go in the first half. Eventually working its way around here. Weidmuller, watched by Devin Jang now. Trying to get a 5 count. As Weidmuller handing it off now over to the near side to Charles Stewart. Up top across the lane, Sanders with a nice 17-foot jumper. That is patient and well-executed offense here for Pascack Hills. They grow their lead to 8, 20-12. Try a quick pass inside. Isaiah Valdez is in the game for the first time for Coach Schrager. Devin Jang up top. Ogadegbe into the near corner. Down up top to Isaiah Stang. Isaiah Stang was held scoreless in last year's meeting against Pascack Hills. He is still scoreless here. On the baseline, hangs in the air and scoreless no more. Isaiah Stang's first 2 points of the afternoon. He's coming off a 23-point performance in a losing effort against Dwight Morrow. He had 23 points, 4 3-pointers, and 6 rebounds. Good ball movement inside. Sanders turnaround shot, no good. Tipped off the front of the rim. Kamani Clark getting it out now to Isaiah Stang. Stang pulls up, nobody defending him. Deadened that off the back of the iron. Rebounded inside, 1 and done. No offensive rebound opportunities so far in this first half for the Bridgemen. 3 minutes gone by here in the first half of play. Trying to find a cutter inside, corner 3 ball in front of us, no good. Rebounded by Isaiah Stang. Stang will look to push it. Stang across the lane, got stripped on his way up, still recovered it, and with a left hand finishes strong. 4 points for Isaiah here in the second quarter. 4-point deficit, 20-16. And that's going to be a push foul against Fort Lee, and this has been a cleanly played game so far between both teams. Only 3 combined fouls as we're closing in on the midway point of the second quarter. Fort Lee coming into play today was looking at 7th place in the North 2 Group 3 PowerPoint rankings. A win here today could go a long way to helping them improve and maybe get in position for a top 4 seed. Defense forcing a turnover there. Fort Lee will get it back to their offense, trailing by 4. They led early in the first quarter, but have been trailing since. Devin Jang with 6 points, Ben Ogadegbe with 6, and Isaiah Stang with the last 4 consecutive points in this game for the Bridgemen. Ogadegbe on the near side. And back up top to Stang. Rattled in and out, volleyballed inside by Weidmuller. And it looks like it's going to be a violation against Fort Lee and a turnover. 3:53 left to go here in the second. Still remains a 4-point lead for Pascack Hills. Last season, Pascack Hills went 18-5, defeated Lakeland in the first round of the North 1 Group 2 sectional playoffs before eventually being eliminated by Demarest in the quarterfinals. Won by 17 at home against Fort Lee last year. Nice ball movement, eventually finds David Weidmuller underneath. Weidmuller up to 14 points in the game. Fort Lee's got a game plan a little better defensively to watch where number 15 is. He is the catalyst for this Broncos side, and here he is. Speak of the devil, he goes coast to coast after forcing the steal. And then getting the 2 points the other way. Pascack Hills growing their lead up to 8, 24-16, with 3:19 left to go here in the first half. David Weidmuller with 16 of the Broncos' 24 to lead the charge for the visitors. They defeated Westwood, a team that we saw in our first game this morning. Westwood held off Emerson by a point, 38-37. The biggest win of the season by far for Pascack Hills was back on January 5th on the road at Ramsey. They handed the Rams a 59-49 defeat, and Ramsey, who we'll see in our last game of the day, right now is expected to be the number 1 seed in the upcoming North 1 Group 2 sectional playoffs if the playoffs started today. Still plenty of time before that'll happen, but again, that is a quality win to say the least for this Pascack Hills side. So after back-to-back buckets by Weidmuller, Fort Lee faces an 8-point deficit. Stang giving it over to Ogadegby. Ogadegby across the lane, Devin Chang outside, and Stang throwing it to a vacated position on the floor to the far side, and Fort Lee is coughing it over at a big-time rate on offense. Under 3 minutes left to go in the first half. Weidmuller connecting over to the far side. Bashotti getting it back. Bashotti had 8 points, 5 assists in their win against Westwood. Here's Weidmuller lining it up, no good. Valdez carving out space underneath the hoop for the rebound. Ogadegby's been very good with the penetration dribble. You have to think that Ben maybe should be a little more aggressive here and start to take control. Stang maybe getting away with an extra step, missed the layup, fouled his own miss, and tried the putback. Also missed on that, but will head to the foul line to shoot 2. With 2:22 left to go in the first half, only the second team foul against Pascack Hills. Isaiah had a season-high 32 points in a win against Westwood earlier this season for the Bridgemen. He has had a sensational senior year. Swishes home the foul shot, has all 5 of his points in this game here in the second quarter alone. Averaging just under 18 points a game for the Bridgemen. Goes 2 for 2 that trip to the line. 3 players with 6 points apiece for Coach Schrager's Fort Lee Bridgemen. Kamani Clark with the interception, gives it to Ogadegby. Ogadegby going right down Broadway for the layup. Clark forced the steal. Transition bucket there for Fort Lee. It's a 4-0 run for the Bridgemen. Back to within 4, 24-20. Give and go to Sanders inside. High arcing bank shot there by Tyler Sanders. Ogadegby down by 6 along with his cohorts. Fort Lee trailing there. They try to turn up the pressure that last time, but Pascack Hills broke the pressure. Ogadegby off balance inside. Clark with the offensive rebound. Jang for 3. No good. Rebounded underneath by Weidmuller. 90 seconds left to go in the first half. Pascack Hills pulling it out. Bashotti going give and go underneath. Nice give and go, and the finish again with a backdoor layup, this time by Justin Onikian. 2 points for Onikian, lead back to 8, 28-20. Fort Lee struggling a little bit defensively here against the Broncos. Giving up 28 points in the first half. This is a Fort Lee side that only gives up around 48 points per game. Devin Jang off balance, and he gets the runner to fall on the far baseline. Jang with 8 points in the first half. 28-22. Approaching 50 seconds left to go in the half. Works around the perimeter. Weidmuller in front of us. Bashotti outletting it. And back and forth from Onikian. Nick Lukeman lurking in the corner. He now has it. Give and go inside. Sanders missing on the bunny. Got his own miss, though. Up top, Lukeman missing. Finally, rebound comes into Ogadegby's hands. Outlets it down into the corner. Jang saving possession, up top to Stang. Stang give and go, down low. Nice find underneath to Kamani Clark. First 2 points for Clark. 28-24, Pascack Hills leading by 4. Under 10 seconds left to go in the half. Stang trying to reach in to force the turnover. Sanders up top, here's a three-point shot. Would have counted, but it was shot as an air ball off the hands of Cole Pashotti. And that will end a frantic finish to that first half of play. Pascack Hills led by as many as 8. Fort Lee has trimmed that deficit in half to 4 as we head to halftime. It's a 28-24 lead for Pascack Hills. Stick around, fans, as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play as you're watching the exclusive broadcast coverage of the 2023 Bergen County Showcase here on YouTube. All right, we're at halftime, fans, of this third game of the day as Pascack Hills is still on top of Fort Lee by a score of 28-24, and we are joined by a special guest who was part of the first game of today's 5-game event here at Fort Lee, and no stranger to East Gymnasium, and the legendary John Ziemba, as our public address announcer Dimitri Nanis also announced the end. And Coach, you've done a lot of winning here today. What was it like to be back part of this event, this first ever Bergen County Showcase, as part of, again, a long Sunday of basketball action here in Bergen County?
Well, I mean, every time I come back to Fort Lee for a basketball game brings back a lot of memories. I still always consider myself a bridgeman, and, you know, it's just, like I said, I always enjoy coming here, and, you know, Adam Schrager and I, you know, we came up with the idea because of the way the Jamboree had to change their days. They never had a cutoff on a Sunday. And, the cutoffs are always during the week. So Adam and I said, let's try to put something together where the Jamboree committee could be here. And, we put it together. And obviously, you can't do it without Mike Rafferty because he's one of the few guys in Bergen County who will open his gym for the day on a Sunday. So it really turned out to be something nice. These games are all, pretty meaningful for the Jamboree. They're good competition. And like I said, Mike made it happen, and Adam and I made calls. He called some of his buddies. I called some of mine, and we came up with a real nice 5-game slate.
And it's been a nice attended event as well. Even from 11 a.m. on a Sunday, you're kind of wondering what type of crowd you're going to get, but your fans came out as well as Westwood fans, and we've seen a steady flow of fans coming throughout here, in addition to members, as you mentioned, of the Bergen Jamboree Committee that have been doing their own little scouting to see whether or not maybe some teams are worthy of getting admission to this year's event.
Exactly, and like even, this is the third game. I think the next game is St. Mary's and Dwight Englewood. Now, they're both going to probably be in it, but that'll give the Jamboree guys a chance to see about seeding, with the parochial schools who don't play each other. And then the last game of the day's got two teams with excellent records, Elmwood Park and Ramsey, and they're also in 2 different conferences. So, I give those guys credit, too, for coming and playing a game like that where, it might hurt your seeding, but it could really help your seeding. These teams aren't dodging anybody. Everybody's playing, some decent teams.
And in the grand scheme of things, too, not only are some teams fighting for the Jamboree, but also the bigger picture, these could have an impact on your seeding for the sectional playoffs coming up. It's not that far away, Coach, from the state playoff round, and anytime that you get a matchup, including against teams that maybe your team hasn't faced in quite some time, those could be valuable power points to be the difference between hosting or going on the road for the states.
Well, you go to the Ramsey Elmwood Park game. I mean, they both got like 12 wins. So if you look at that in power points, that's if you win the game, you're getting close to 40 power points. That could move you from into a top 2 seed in a lot of things. And a lot of people are afraid to play better teams, but the way you move up in the power points is like the winner of that game is probably going to be locked in, pretty good to a number 1 or 2 seed. And I also think they're in the same section, Group 2.
Absolutely. So that could be the first of potential 2 meetings of the year between those 2 sides.
Yes.
Well, I think this is you're on to something here with you, Adam, and Mike, of creating this event, like you said, just before the cutoff of the Bergen Jamboree tournament. If you're a basketball-crazed fan, then you have been loving life either getting here in person or watching from wherever you are at home. And, Coach, it is always just an honor to not only get a chance for me personally to cover you now with basketball after covering you here in East Gym during the volleyball seasons the last couple of years, but to be able to be part of this event, it's been pretty neat, and it's been a dream come true for a basketball fan.
No, thank you. I'm glad. And we had, I see a bunch of coaches here scouting. I even had the official in our game, one of the officials say, hey, this is a great idea. People have been wondering why this hasn't been done before. And, maybe it's something we could really build off of now. And maybe we can get maybe 1 or 2 of the bigger parochials. I mean, we have a great slate, but you never know how it'll go moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again to Coach John Ziemba for joining us here at halftime. We're about to start the second half of play as Fort Lee trying to rally here from behind at the half against Pascack Hills. So again, special thanks to Coach John Ziemba, the head coach of Emerson and longtime legendary coach here at Fort Lee, one of the co-founders of this event in this Bergen County Showcase. Fort Lee trailing here by 4 at the half. Looking at the stats from the first half of play, leading scorer in this game for Pascack Hills and overall in the game is David Weidmuller. He's got 16 points. Tyler Sanders has chipped in 6. Charles Stewart with 4 points and John Onikian with 2. For Fort Lee, it's been a balanced attack. Bem Ogadegbe and Devin Jang each with 8 points apiece. Isaiah Stang with 6 and Kamani Clark with 2. Fort Lee, the home side in the home white with the orange numerals. Pascack Hills, the road side, and the brown with the orange numerals outlined in white. Fort Lee trying to snap a 3-game losing streak in this series against the Broncos. And again, this would be big for Fort Lee's playoff hopes of hosting a couple of games here in the sectional playoffs. Daniel Park, quick outlet to Ogadegbe. Ogadegbe dribbling down the near baseline. Fort Lee outscored Pascack Hills 15-13 in that second quarter. Jang with a high-range 3 hit off the stanchion atop the rim, and that'll be a violation, giving the ball over to Pascack Hills. Pascack Hills outscored Fort Lee 15-9 in the first quarter, put up 13 points of their own in the second. Weidmuller connects from downtown. He's got a game-high 19 points now for Pascack Hills. 31-24, the deficit facing Fort Lee. They have lost only twice this season here at home. Lost to North Bergen in the championship round of the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament back on December 30th. And also lost to Dumont here at home back on January 3rd. Pass inside to Clark. Clark, rather than looking at the hoop, was trying to pass it out. Here's Stang across the lane. Here's Devin Jang, sets and fires and knocks down his 3rd triple of the game. Devin Jang had 3 made threes in last year's matchup. He's got 11 here today to lead the charge offensively for Fort Lee. Back to a 4-point lead. Clark trying to extend his defense a bit out of the lane as Weidmuller has really given Fort Lee fits. That's going to be an offensive foul whistled against Cole Pascock. Got called for the push-off of the near side, and that'll give possession back over to the Bridgemen. 31-27, the deficit facing Fort Lee. They led early in the first quarter, but it's been really Pascack Hills ever since. Ogadegbe tried a leaning shot in. Missed on that shot opportunity. 2 minutes into the start of the second half. Over to the near side. Dropped off of the near block. Weidmuller blocked away. Good help defense there by Ogadegbe. Stang comes out with it. Here's Ben with the double team coming to him. Worked around inside. Here's Isaiah Stang leaning in and banking it in. Stang's first bucket of the second half. 31-29, the lead for Pascack Hills. Lead is cut down to 2. Fort Lee's gone on a run. Weidmuller thought about the 3. Again, just cross-court passes. Trying to throw over the top of the zone, but it trickles off the hand of the player inside. Sanders couldn't handle it, and that time Ogadegbe was tied up on the play. Possession arrow will favor Pascack Hills. Justin Onikian doing a great job of getting his hands on the basketball there as Ogadegbe was trying to go up for a potential tying bucket. Last win against Pascack Hills for Fort Lee 2019 in the Bergen Invitational Tournament. Nice give and go. Finished off underneath by Stewart. Stewart with 6 points now in the game. Back to a 4-point advantage. Over to Stang with the double team coming to him. They like to trap the ball whenever possible. Force the decision-making quickly for these Bridgemen. Cross-court pass, airmailed, intercepted. Weidmuller trying to go down the other way. Jang telegraphed that pass, and that was easy pickings for the Pascack Hills defense. Corner 3 ball, cans that time by Charles Stewart. 5 straight points for number 35. He's got 9 points in the game now. And after Fort Lee had pulled to within 2, the lead is back to 7. Here's Devin Jang trying to answer. No good. Rebounded underneath by Weidmuller. Past the midway point of the third quarter. 36-29, Pascack Hills leading here on the road. Third game of this 5-game event, the Bergen County Showcase. Cutter inside is Sanders. Sanders, mid-range jumper, off the mark. Rebounded by Ogadegbe. Game number 4 coming up after this one. Ogadegbe missing on the figure roll. On the near side. Weidmuller in the open floor. Nobody stopping him. He takes it coast to coast for the finish. He's got a game-high 21 points here. And Pascack Hills forces Fort Lee to take the timeout. 38-29 with 3:27 left to go here in the third quarter. As the Broncos starting to pull away here after Fort Lee just moments ago had pulled to within 2. Game number 4 is going to be coming up. It's going to be a non-public showdown as St. Mary's of Rutherford taking on Dwight Englewood. That's game number 4 coming up after this one has concluded. (38-29) now the lead for Pascack Hills as David Weidmuller has been unstoppable so far in this game. 21 points as we still have 3:27 left to go in the third quarter. Fort Lee has not had an answer for big number 15. Isaiah Stang almost getting the double team trap. Now John Huang has come into the game, trying to provide a spark for Fort Lee, and it's going to be a reach-in foul against Pascack Hills. Broncos saw their lead trimmed down to 2, but Fort Lee has not had a response. Charles Stewart went on his own personal 5-0 run, and then Weidmuller added to it. Largest deficit of the game now for the Bridgemen. Dump off inside. Valdez missed the bunny, but then fouled it up and banked it home. Isaiah Valdez's first 2 points of the game. Over to the near side, Onikian. Bashadi now up top to Stewart. Two and a half minutes left to go here in the third quarter. Weidmuller passed it out, hard to the lane and through. Onikian with the layup. 40-31, the deficit, 9 points. Now for Fort Lee. Valdez flash inside the lane, back up top to Stang. Stang around to Jang, right back up top to Isaiah. Gets the screen, sets and fires from 3, no good. Caroms out in the corner to Wang. Wang getting it over to Isaiah Stang. Stang across the lane, tries to pull up, gets it blocked away. Pascack Hills with smothering defense. Pashani gets his pocket picked from behind. A steal forced by Fort Lee. They're in desperate need of a bucket. Stang knows that, trying to cut across the lane, and a foul on the floor before the shot opportunity. 1:41 left to go here in the third. Ogadegbe back into the game. .90 seconds left to go in the third. Valdez reversing it to the far side. Devin Jang for 3. 14 points in the game for Devin Jang. He's knocked down 4 made threes. Fort Lee backed within 6, 40-34. Cross court. Weidmuller. High range 3, no good. Try to chase after his own miss. Valdez with a strong armed rebound. Here's Isaiah Stang across the middle, stops and pops and gives it over to Clark. Clark is fouled on his way up. But nice penetration inside the lane there by Isaiah Stang. And now Kamani Clark will try to hit some foul shots. 56 seconds left to go in the third. Clark 0 for 2 from the line today. Good form that time. Rattled it home. 3 points now for the junior. Off the mark on the second foul shot. 5-point deficit now for Fort Lee. On the near baseline, kicking around the perimeter. Weidmuller up top. Draws the defense. Here's the three ball. That's a huge shot for Cole Pashotti. And once again, the defense had to collapse in on David Weidmuller. That led to the open three-point look. Another three ball knocked down by the Broncos here in the third quarter. Ogadegbe. Dangerous pass over to the near side. It gets stolen away. Here comes Pascack Hills. Sanders, 2-on-1, leaves it off unselfishly for Weidmuller. He's got 23 in the night. 10 seconds left to go. Lead is up to 10. Stang on the baseline, has the defender fly by him. And Stang does a great job of moving in to make that play. Isaiah Stang with 10 points in the game, but work to be done here for Fort Lee. They trail by 8 as we head to the fourth quarter. Stick around as we're going to have the remainder of this game here coming up next on Fort Lee's Athletic YouTube channel. Pascack Hills trying to come here to East Gymnasium and come away with a road victory. They are 2-2 away from home this season on the road. Fort Lee trying to prevent what would be only their third loss at home this entire season as they trail 45-37. Dan Long, Renee Matisich, and Dimitri Nanis here on the broadcast coverage. Thanks so much for joining us. A big day of basketball here in Fort Lee. 5 different games played just before the Jamboree cutoff. Fort Lee knows they are already in the field. Pascack Hills would love a big win here on the road. That's a clean block from behind. It'll stay with Ogadegbe and Fort Lee. Again, with a big picture, though, it's the playoffs, the state sectional playoffs, that you have to concern yourselves with. Fort Lee sitting right now is number 7 in the power points. Top 8 teams get a first-round home game. If you get your way up into the top 4, then you can assure yourself of at least 2 games at home. As there's a wet spot on the floor that Fort Lee trainer Tom Herr will attend to and mop up before we resume play. Devin Jang getting it up top to Ogadegbe. Here's Stang. The far side, Valdez tries his luck from deep. Clark pops it out to himself. I don't think you want Valdez taking the three-point shots if you're Coach Schrager. Schrager sees Valdez blocked at the rim That'll carry him out of bounds and will stay possession with the Bridgemen. 7:25 left to go here in the fourth. 45-37. The deficit facing Fort Lee. They pulled within 2 in the third quarter. Here's Devin Jang for 3 on the near side. Weidmuller with a rebound. David Weidmuller is the leading scorer in this game for both sides. 23 points here in this contest. There's a nice mid-range jumper knocked down on the far baseline by Tyler Sanders. Sanders now with 8 points in the game. Valdez might have gotten bumped a little bit from behind, and then the aggressive foul. Frustration foul setting in for the junior. .651 left to go in regulation. That was the first team foul. First team foul this second half for Fort Lee. Inside. Works around another mid-range jumper. Hits twice off the rim, and Ogadegbe will come in with it. Time becoming a factor here for the Bridgemen. They trail by 10 here at home. There's going to be a foul on the floor underneath against Pascack Hills, and now the Broncos have committed 5 fouls in this second half. So Fort Lee closing in and closer to foul shot opportunities. Ogadegbe looking for the outlet. Now Isaiah Stang. You'd like to see Stang try to take over this game. Fort Lee, so much of their offense coming from the perimeter. No drive and dribble penetration here, and no real games from their frontline players. Here's Ogadegbe setting in, firing from the near corner. Rebounded underneath by Sanders. Everything perimeter oriented right now for the Bridgemen. 47-37. Pascack Hills trying to come here to Fort Lee and win a 4th consecutive matchup between these two schools. Nice pass underneath, and Weidmuller camped out inside the lane, cashes in another 2 points, 25 points for number 15 in Brown. Timeout on the floor for Coach Schrager. Largest lead of the game now for Pascack Hills, 49-37. It's been a tough day here for Fort Lee. Bridgemen have only 37 points in this game with 5:35 left to go in regulation. Their defense has not been able to produce a lot of easy opportunities in transition for their offense, and that's one of the things that Coach Schrager was just stressing to his team in that last timeout and team huddle. His defense gives up around 49 points per game this season, while Pascack Hills is already at that mark with 5:35 left to go in this one. Fort Lee gave up a season-high 74 points in their last game on the road against White Morrow. This Fort Lee team wins based on defense and execution on offense. They're not really a high-scoring bunch. Ogadegbe and company need to get going here on this end of the floor. Stang gets it out of trouble, gives it over to Devin Jang. No look pass to Ogadegbe across the lane. Now another pass. Who's going to take the shot? It's going to be Isaiah Stang. He gets fouled as he makes the three. And a chance at a 4-point play for Fort Lee. 49-40. Isaiah Stang with 13 points in the game. That was his first made three. Stang completes the 4-point play, I should say. 14 points in the game now for Isaiah. And another timeout taken on the floor. Fort Lee back to within 8 with 5:09 left to go here in the fourth quarter. It's a 49-41 lead for Pascack Hills. (49-41) the lead right now for Pascack Hills. They led 45-37 after 3 quarters, and the full court pressure being administered, that's going to be a foul charged against Fort Lee. Pascack Hills has committed 16 fouls in the second half. That is only the second foul committed by the Bridgemen. They've been doing a good job of avoiding the fouls. Problem, though, has been Pascack Hills and their patience on offense have been finding a way behind the Fort Lee defense. David Weidmuller with 25 points in the game right now for the Broncos. That's a steal forced by Devin Jang, leads to an easy 2. Jang up to 16 points in the game. Lead is down to 6, 49-43. Here's that pressure defense again, and a foul whistled, negating what would have been the basket for Ogadegbe. Fort Lee so close to producing another steal that would have led to another basket. They've started to ratchet up their full court pressure here to get back in this game. Sanders to the near side, and he did not get away with it. I was about to say, it looked like he was going to get away with a double dribble. The official right there in that spot to make the call, and another turnover forced by the Fort Lee defense. In and out, here it goes, 3-point shot, Stang. That would have been huge for Fort Lee, but a hit into the stanchion above the rim, and that will give possession back over to Pascack Hills. That 3 would have made it a 3-point game. Pascack Hills over to the near side, breaking that pressure across the middle of the court. And is that going to be a foul against Kamani Clark? And it's going to be on the wrist. So again, Fort Lee looked like they were coming close to producing the turnover, but now the foul's starting to pile up a little bit here in the last couple of possessions for the Bridgemen, trying to scramble here defensively. They still got 4:27 left to go, so there's no need to really be too aggressive and foul at a high clip. 4 fouls now against the Bridgemen. Pascack Hills has been adept at just those cross-court lob passes over the top of the defense. Fort Lee has not been active enough or tall enough to intercept those passes. Here's Weidmuller, watched by Clark. Switch comes to him. Now it's Devin Jang. Weidmuller with a shake and bake, try to pass it into the corner. His teammate left that area, and now they're going to say possession will stay with Pascack Hills. 3:54 left to go, past the midway point of the fourth quarter. Sanders lurking on the baseline. Gets it up top, Onikian. Watched by Jang, takes him off the dribble with the left hand. Sanders in the corner. Long sustained possession here on offense for Pascack Hills, trying to cash it in with some points as well. The lead is down to 6. On the baseline, and there's Weidmuller once again. Gets the step on the defense. 27 points in the game for Weidmuller. Ogadegby lost the handle across the lane, and they're going to say that is a foul on the floor. And that's going to be a 1-and-1 now for Ogadegby. 3:18 left to go in the fourth quarter. And now Fort Lee could try to pull closer with no time coming off the clock. Ogadegby, that's a costly miss on the front end of a 1-and-1. Ogadegby, who was so money earlier on this season, a couple of big games, including in the holiday tournament post-Christmas time, being so clutch at the foul line, missed the front end of that 1-and-1, and now that gives the ball back over to Pascack Hills with an 8-point lead. As we're coming up on the home stretch here of game number 3. Again, game number 4 is going to be on the horizon 20 minutes after this one has come to an end. It'll be a non-public showdown. Dwight Englewood taking on St. Mary's. That's game number 4, and then we will conclude today's festivities with game number 5. Elmwood Park taking on Ramsey in what should be a good one. As Coach John Ziemba joined me at halftime of this game, raving about all the teams that have decided to participate in this event. And he's looking forward to watching that last game as well between two teams that could very well meet up again in the postseason. Ramsey, the number 1 team in North 1 Group 2, and Elmwood Park not that far behind them. So that's going to be the 5th game of the day, and again, the game that's going to follow us here is St. Mary's 12-2 versus Dwight Englewood 8-6. A good showdown between two teams that are trying to better their resumes as well this season for postseason play. Just over 3 minutes left to go here in regulation. Pascack Hills trying to produce a big win on the road. Looking to go back door. He got tipped out. Fortuitous bounce eventually finds its way to Tyler Sanders. It's been that type of day for Fort Lee. Normally they get that loose ball and they get the steal, but found its way into the hands of Sanders. Lead back to 10. And Pascack Hills comes away with a 50-50 ball. Weidmuller dribbling right past Clark. Weidmuller trying to throw it up at the rim, and it nearly fell. Offensive rebound, though, for the Broncos. Pascack Hills almost got that one taken away. Again, Fort Lee just a step too slow here this afternoon. Worked around to Stewart. Now the Broncos wasting a little time, trying to carve off some more time off the clock. 2:15 and counting. Into the corner, pulling it back out to David Weidmuller. And now it looks like a foul is going to be whistled against Fort Lee. They will have one more foul to give before it's a single bonus situation for the Broncos. Weidmuller getting it around the horn. Here's a layup attempt on the far side, and that might well do it. Pashani with an easy entry to the rim. He's got 5 points in this game, all of which have come in the second half. 12-point deficit now for Fort Lee. Isaiah Stang swishes home the 3. Staying up to his average, 17 points in the game. Second made 3. Fort Lee just has not been able to slow down Pascack Hills here defensively. Well, they get the turnover as I say that. Trail by 9. Here's Ogadegby right to the rim, but he curls it in and out. Ogadegby with 8 points. He's been stuck on those 8 points since the first half. Fort Lee with a chance here. 1:32 left to go in the game, but they need points in bunches. This man can bring it. 5th three-pointer of the game for Devin Jang. Timeout on the floor. 19 points in the game for Devin. He had a season-high 26 points in the season opener against Tenafly. He can get hot and he can get rolling. And all of a sudden, what was a 12-point deficit is trimmed in half. It's 6, 55-49, after back-to-back threes produced by Isaiah Stang and Devin Jang. Pascack Hills again. The road ahead for them. They'll travel to Indian Hills, their next game on Tuesday, the 24th, before coming back home to host Ramsey on the 31st. For Fort Lee, after this one, they will travel to Dumont on the 24th before coming back home on January 31st to host Ridgeville Park and then Cliffside Park. Fort Lee coming off a season last year that saw the Bridgemen produce 18 wins in an 18-9 season. They won the Big North American Division title. They come into play here today, third in the Big North American behind Dumont and Dwight Morrow. They have held 7 of their 8 home opponents under 60 points this season and have gone 6-2 overall at home. And they hold Pascack Hills under 60 here and give themselves a chance to fight back. Broncos are at 55 points in the game. Double team coming. Weidmuller now having it. Just over a minute left to go. Stang trying to get high to force the turnover. There's a tie-up ensuing right in front of the Fort Lee bench. Valdez trying to get free with the basketball. Possession arrow. Looks like it favors Pascack Hills. Both players going all out there in that last chance. Will still be possession here for Pascack Hills. 1:13 remaining, though, in this game. 55-49, the deficit for Fort Lee. They need more turnovers. Pascack Hills can take as much time as they want. Double team coming. Ball tipped away. There's the turnover Fort Lee was looking for. Here come the Bridgemen. Hope is alive. 1 minute left to go in the game. Devin Jang, straightaway three. Got it! The lead is 3. Devin Jang with 22 points in the game. Saders the other way. Blocked at the rim by Ogadegbe. Last touch out of bounds off of Fort Lee. 55-52. Fort Lee has gone on a 9-0 run in this game. 47 seconds remaining. What a furious comeback here, but the job is not done for the Bridgemen. Up top to Weidmuller. Again, Pascack Hills doesn't need to attempt a shot. They nearly pass it away. Went through the hands of Valdez. 36 seconds left to go. Fort Lee reluctant to foul. Stewart across the lane. Again, Pascack Hills just keeping it around the perimeter. Now the reach-in foul against Clark will stop the clock with 27 seconds left to go. That is the 6th-team foul against Fort Lee, so they need to foul again to then force foul shots. 55-52. Pascack Hills desperately trying to hold on here. Jang will be called for the foul. Stopping the clock with 25.4 seconds left to go. It's a 1-and-1 single bonus time here for Pascack Hills. I thought this game honestly was out of reach once Pascack Hills went up by 12, but Fort Lee has changed the course of this game with their three-point shooting. Front end of the 1-on-1, there's the miss. Fort Lee got the miss they were looking for. There's another miss. It pinballs away. Last touch. And they're going to say off of Fort Lee. They got the missed foul shot, then an ensuing putback miss. Fort Lee got exactly what they were hoping for. They just could not secure the possession. 20 seconds exactly remaining here in the ballgame. 3-point deficit for the Bridgemen. Sanders giving it off. And there's a reach-in foul. Stopping the clock. 3 more seconds tick off. 17 seconds remaining in regulation. 55-52. Now it's Justin Onikian heading to the line. Onikian calmly and coolly sinks that first foul shot, will be awarded a second opportunity. 5 points in the game for number 3, the senior guard. 56-52. Hits them both. That's big. 5-point deficit now for Fort Lee. They got to get going here and score quickly. Ogadegbe open for 3. Ogadegbe's 3 rattled halfway down and out. And a rebound underneath, and Pascack Hills looks like they will hold on here. A furious comeback attempt late in the fourth quarter by the Bridgemen, but those offensive rebounds killed them in the last possession after the miss on the front end of the 1-and-1. That would have given Fort Lee the possession and a chance here to tie it with one possession. Now Onikian trying to salt it away. He gets the front end of the 1-and-1 again. He's up to 7 points. Clutch foul shooting late in this game for the senior guard. Lead is 6 now to make this a 3-possession lead. And he does just that. 8 points, Justin Onikian coming in as the closer here. As Fort Lee, for only the 3rd time this season, will lose at home. Isaiah Stang hit a 3 with only 0.3 seconds remaining in the game. Isaiah now up to 20 points in the game. He came alive in the fourth quarter, knocking down 3 threes. But it's going to be too little too late for the Bridgemen. 59-55. Again, 0.3 seconds left to go in this game. Fort Lee, this will be a tough one to swallow. The Bridgemen will fall to 10-5 on the season. Pascack Hills with a big win here on the road. That'll even their record at 500 on the year. They will go to 6-6 overall. Again, Pascack Hills has to take on their gauntlet of a league schedule at Indian Hills and against Ramsey, 2 teams above them in the standings in their next couple of games. Well, Fort Lee doesn't get any easier for them. They will travel to the home of the Huskies and take on Dumont. Dumont, who came here to East Gymnasium and handed Fort Lee their last loss at home, a 54-43 loss on January 3rd. They will travel to Dumont before coming back home to host Ridgefield Park, Cliffside Park, and Dwight Morrow in a 3-game homestand on league play in the early portion of February. Again, a win here today would have helped Fort Lee continue to distance themselves, try to be one of those top 8 seeds in North 2 Group 3. They're going to have work to be done then. Try to put themselves in a position to maybe garner at least one home game in the postseason. They put a couple more tenths of a second on the clock. It's now 0.8 inbound, and that will run out the remainder of this game as Pascack Hills will make it 4 straight wins in this rivalry against Fort Lee as they hold on to a 59-55 win on the road here against the Bridgemen. With the win, Pascack Hills goes to 6-6 on the season. With the defeat, Fort Lee will fall to 10-5. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our 3rd broadcast of the day. We'll be bringing you all the sights and sounds of our next game, game number 4 of this Bergen County Showcase, as St. Mary's takes on Dwight Englewood coming up shortly here at East Gymnasium. So for Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and join us for game number 4 coming up shortly.